Okay, welcome everyone here today, and I declare the meeting open at 4:01. Disclaimer: members of the public are advised that recommendations to council contained within this agenda can be subject to change. Applicants and other interested parties should refrain from taking any action until written advice is received confirming council's decision with respect to any particular issue. Any statement or insinuation of approval regarding any planning or development application made during an ordinary council meeting is not to be taken as notice of approval. Anyone who has an application lodged with the Shire must obtain and should only rely on written confirmation of the outcome of the application and any conditions attached by the decision made by council. Council members and the community are reminded that should an exception resolution be passed, this has the effect of making the decision to accept the officer's recommendation stated in the agenda as the council's decision without change. An audio and visual record will be made by means of live streaming of these proceedings and uploaded to the Shire's YouTube page for viewing. Acknowledgement of country. The Shire of Harvey acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. And we pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal communities and to their cultures and to elders past, present and emerging. Procedure motion. Councillor Gillett put forth the following: that Council suspends Standing Orders Part A, Clause 8.5, members to indicate their intention to speak and to rise when speaking, to allow members to remain seated when speaking to improve the quality of the audio recording for the meeting. We have a seconder, Councillor Burgoyne. If there's likely to be any discussion, I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried. Item 2, record of apologies and leave of absence. We have application for a leave of absence from Councillor Paul Beach. Requests a leave of absence from Tuesday the 11th of April 2023 to Tuesday 18th of April 2023 inclusive. And the recommendation that Council approves Councillor Beach request a leave of absence for those dates. I'm happy to move that. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried. Councillor John Bromham requests a leave of absence from Wednesday 5th of July 2023 to Monday 14th of August 2023 inclusive. Councillor Campbell. Second, Councillor Coleman. I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried. We have Councillor Michelle Boylan and Councillor Tanya Jackson requested to attend the Tuesday 28th of March 2023 Ordinary Council meeting electronically in accordance with Regulations 14C Part 2B of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. The Shire President has approved this request and is satisfied that the location from which the member intends to attend the meeting and the equipment that the member intends to use to attend the meeting is suitable for the member to be able to effectively engage in deliberations and communications during the meeting as per Regulations 14C Part 5 of the Regulations. Councillor Michelle Boylan, can you hear us okay?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Councillor Jackson. Welcome, Tanya. Okay, item 4, reading from a book of learning and wisdom.
Sorry, I do have something for you if you wanted to do that.
Yes. Over to you, yes. Councillor Jackson. Welcome.
Just a short message from Wangari Maathai. A tree has roots in the soil yet reaches the sky. It tells us that in order to aspire, we need to be grounded. and that no matter how high we go, it is from our roots that we draw our sustenance.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Item 5, declarations of members and officers' personal interest. As per the screen, Councillor Bronwyn.
Yes.
Councillor Campbell.
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Lovett. Councillor Crispin.
Yes.
Councillor Beach.
Yes, all correct.
Councillor Dickinson. Okay, item 6, response to previous... Councillor. Mr. Hall.
Mr Chairman, I declared an impartiality interest last week in item 1235, the application for Arco Variation, Templetonia Place. The applicant is known to me. I was not the officer that wrote the report and presented in an impartial manner.
Okay. Item 6, response to previous questions taken on notice is nil. Item 7, public question time. We have Miss Louise Marsh.
Yeah.
Would you like to come up?
Oh,
And-
now.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Welcome.
My question is in regard to item number 12.3.3, use not listed rural tourism, lot 101, 124 Government Road, Rowlands. The applicant for this proposal has a track record of not following the rules. If approved, how will council enforce the applicant's conditions and council regulations, and who is it at council that will police any breaches relating to this proposal?
Mr. Hall.
Through Mr Chairman, the applicant's sort of previous areas of discretion are not really a matter for consideration and determination of this application. Thank you. However, any application that forms part of the development application will be followed through by sustainable development.
So, through sustainable development. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Louise. Mr. Jason Greenlow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the Shire councillors. My name is Jason Greenlow. My question is: has the Shire been in communication? Has the Shire been in communication with Main Roads to have the Southwest Highway assessed for Lot 101 Waterloo Road for the rural tourism?
Through you, Mr Chairman, I don't believe that the application was actually referred to Main Roads. There's no trigger for it to be referred to Main Roads, so I don't believe that it has been that discussion.
Thank you.
Mr. Colin McCumsky.
Chairman, thank you. Councillors, my question's more pertinent until after the deputation of my partner, but I shall proceed with the question anyway, in the pretense as opposed to the past tense. Well, the key questions we will raise here being the inadequacies of the proposed access road and the possibility of future expansion be given serious consideration and addressed by way of amendments to the officer's recommendations.
Mr. Hall.
I'm going to apologise, sir. I actually need to understand the question a little bit further. Are you able to sort of clarify it in sort of planning speak so I can be able to understand
That's why I gave the disclaimer at the beginning.
Okay, no problems.
Well, the key questions we will raise here
Yeah.
being the inadequacies of the proposed access road and the possibility of future expansion be given serious consideration and addressed by way of amendments to the officer's recommendations.
So what I'm taking from that, through Mr. Chairman, is the inadequacies, I'm assuming, of Chenna Place in terms
Yes.
of, okay, so the conditions of planning approval are seeking at this stage to have that intersection with Chenna Place and Waterloo Road constructed to a standard acceptable to council, a full sealed standard. There is conditions, and there has been some discussion, and it may be clarified later on as to whether the full extent of Chenna Place is going to be sealed, but that condition is, in the opinion of staff, allowing Chenna Place to be an adequate access road. As far as future expansions, we're dealing with stage 1 of what was previously 1 of 3. The application is approving purely stage 1. We can't put a condition on it that precludes an application being received for stages 2 and 3, but we have always maintained that position that we would have to consider that one on its merits, and we've had many discussions with the applicants and a lot of the landowners, and it doesn't appear that stages 2 and 3 are proposed to occur anyway. And as far as likely amendments to the officer's recommendations, I'm not sure where you're going there. It may be in regard to the previous answers that were just...
That will be made clearer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other further questions? Okay, item 8, petitions, deputations and presentations. Mr Cameron Leckie, item 12.3.3. Welcome, Cameron.
Thank you very much for having me. I think someone might have left their diary. Just sit at the side from
So you can keep a ring.
Good evening, Mr. President and councillors. Thanks for inviting us down here today. I'm speaking on behalf of my clients Michelle Catalano and Sienna Dean in support of the officer recommendation for item 12.3.3, which is the rural tourism proposal on Government Road. It's been a long road for my clients over the last 18 months from when we first lodged this application with the Shire. And that timeframe doesn't include the pre-lodgement engagement, which spanned a further 5 or 6 months prior to the formal lodgement. And through this period, my client's been determined to work with staff and the adjoining property owners to come up with a proposal that not only achieves their own objectives, but respects and responds to the local character and the planning context as well. We feel that the recommendation before you today is fair, and it strikes an appropriate balance between all of these considerations. Firstly, we thought it might be worth taking a moment to stress what this application is not, as it seems there has been some misunderstanding out there in the community. It is not and can never be another crooked carrot. It is not a 200-seat restaurant and function centre. It is not a major fashion retail outlet. It is not some sort of camping or glamping proposal. None of these things would be appropriate, in my view, as a planner in this peaceful little corner of the world, and none of them form part of this application, and my client has zero intention of allowing them to occur on their property. This proposal is for a small-scale, locally owned boutique business that will diversify the local economy, encourage small-scale tourism, provide greater amenity for the local residents, provide a diversified income source for the property, showcase the beautiful property, and make use of the disused and dilapidated farm buildings. It will provide somewhere for the local community to grab their morning coffee, for local families to meet and enjoy the rural setting over a coffee and a slice of cake, and somewhere for boutique fashion seekers to find a rare gem or two. The conditions proposed in the officer's recommendation will limit the scale of this use and will ensure that any impacts to adjoining properties will be minimal and well managed. My client has no objections to any of the conditions and is happy to continue to work with the officers through the detailed design process to ensure a high quality outcome for all. My client's already commenced extensive native planting to provide additional screening for adjoining properties. They've also undertaken that Chenna Place, which is a gazetted public road, will be fully constructed and sealed to the Shire's public road specifications and standards, ensuring that there will be no excessive dust or noise impacts arising from the use of the public road once constructed. My clients worked closely with the Shire officers through the course of this assessment process, and following feedback from the Shire and the neighbours, agreed to a lower scale proposal than what was originally intended. They've also been very mindful of the need to protect the amenity of the adjoining properties, their neighbours, ensuring that any of the uses which may have amenity impacts are located far away from the neighbouring properties. And lastly, I think it's worth reminding the council that my client Michelle Catalano lives on this property herself and intends to continue to do so. It's clear, having visited the property several times myself, that the property is a true labour of love for Michelle and her partner. The property is immaculate in every sense, and I expect that the renovated dairy would be no different. These are local people working to improve and enhance the local offering to showcase their area. They're passionate and dedicated members of the community, and are committed to delivering a high quality, low impact service that will only serve to benefit and enhance the local community. Also worth noting is that we understand there's a relatively silent majority of the community that are excited about this proposal and the local benefits that it brings. My client's been inundated with positive messages of support as she moves about the local community. Despite the submissions received, we're confident that there is a strong local desire for this project to proceed. We accept and acknowledge that there's still a bit of work to be done to refine the proposal as we go. Obviously, this work comes at a cost, and it's important to my client that the principle of the land use is secured first, so that this detailed design work doesn't waste anyone's time or money. They're committed to continuing to work with the Shire through the delivery of this project to ensure that it becomes an outstanding asset to the local area. And on that basis, we respectfully request that the Council resolve to endorse the officer recommendation as presented. Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. Okay, Mr. Neil Pollock. Welcome, Neil.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, CEO and Councillors. My name is Neil Pollock. My wife and I live at 14 Nannagon Circle, which backs onto 101 Chenoweth Place, about 80 metres from the proposed development. Today I'd like to talk about road safety. Excuse me. We moved out to Rowlands for a peaceful rural lifestyle in 2014, built a home, planted many trees, which are now home to abundance of wildlife, frogs, and occasional possum. It's our paradise and we love it, along with other residents in the areas. Over the years we've seen development grow in the area with the increase in population and road traffic, and Waterloo being one of the main entry points, or the only entry point into the area. And planners say it won't be impacted. The traffic won't impact on this development. How can they say this? It's the only road in and the only road out. In 2021, I wrote to Councillor Crispin with grave concerns regarding what I'd seen on one morning. There was, on the way to school, at school time, there was a little girl, she was 5, with backpack bigger than she was. She was standing, crouching by the side of the road, picking daisies. Trucks and other vehicles were just screaming past her. And this is an area of Waterloo Road. It's a blind corner, and it's just at the entrance before Chenoweth Place. Now, this was a great concern to me. I sent a letter to the council via Dakota, and that was submitted along with photographs of the blind corner. It was a great concern to me, and it was an accident waiting to happen. And the school buses, trucks. It's a major road, and it must be considered in this application with a blind corner. The applicant in her own statement believes that the western entrance to her property is unsuitable because it goes past a swamp with frogs and long-necked turtles. It may not be suitable to her, but it's a logical a logical entrance to her property and doesn't affect on anybody else. The other part of my question to the Shire, to the Council, has a road assessment been done on this area? I believe it's not part of the planning permission, but I would ask that it should be done as part of this submission. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Neil. Catherine Frasina. Welcome, Catherine.
Sure, sorry. Mr. Chairman, CEO, Shire Councillors, to those of you who don't know me, I'm Catherine Frasina, and I'm the property holder of Lot 106, 35 Waterloo Road, Rowlands. And I too will be discussing the current topic that everyone has come to discuss here prior to me. Our residence is the closest in proximity to the proposed development, hence it should be self-explanatory why I'm raising our concerns. And I've also been asked to speak on behalf of other nearby residents who share and have similar concerns. First of all, we acknowledge the Shire's intention to promote and develop tourism within our region and recognise that a proposal such as this is in line with the Shire's objective to promote such rural tourism. We understand that. At the briefing session last week, the proponent emphasised that the application was a small scale only, and she was altruistic in saying that it would be a friendly place for residents of Rowlands to meet, grab over a cup of coffee. Yet, our concerns are that in this amended form, the proposal only received formal submissions of objection within the time frame permitted, and these are from people within its catchment area. So, to answer the question as to why this proposal has been labelled another crooked carrot, or has been misconstrued, causing unnecessary drama, I believe on behalf of all the concerned residents when I say, one only needs to look at the first planning application to find that answer. If the applicant's initial intention was to only be a small-scale venture, why then include stage 2 and 3 and reference to terms such as developing the site, expanding the food offering, creating more capacity for customers, not to mention the occasional local events such as movie nights, cocktail fundraisers and the like, and which all are in keeping with the broader intent of use on this site. At the briefing, the applicant mentioned that the gazetted Chenar Place, being the designated route for access, was there when she purchased her property in 2004, and it is on her title deed. She also implied that the road is currently just sand and covered in weeds. For the record, a bit of history. In 1999, Lot 102 Waterloo Road had its zoning changed and approval given to subdivide the area into 1 acre lots. Chenar Place was included as a gazetted road for access to the most northeastern residential lots. In 2006, we were given approval by the WAPC to subdivide Lot 102 into 2 separate titles, being 105 and 106. Now, conditions included the construction of Chenar Place to the satisfaction of the WAPC rural subdivision guidelines prior to any further development of that land. Government and Waterloo Roads provided the required asphalt sealed access to Lot 105 on its 2 non-adjoining boundaries. Hence, we were able to sell that title in 2012. Now, I ask you to refer to the map of this proposal if you do have it. Otherwise, Colin will pass some around. You will see when you get a chance to look at that map where our residence is positioned in relation to the overall development and proposal. And the distance is there. Chenard Place is recorded as the address on the applicant's certificate of title. Yes, that's true. However, as you will see on the map, Chenard Place is physically positioned on our property and forms part of the driveway at the entrance of Waterloo Road. In response to the officer's report referencing road construction standards, we are extremely concerned that there appears to be a very grey area in regard to the standard of road that has been suggested by the applicant and recommended in the officer's report. We put to council that the standard of the road and the maintenance process of that road is totally unsatisfactory. For example, the Shire officers have determined it would appear that overall dust suppression is not required. Therefore, and for the record, and I'll explain to you, give me the chance, Chenard Place, if constructed today according to that proposal, will begin with an asphalt crossover where it joins Waterloo Road. Then it will proceed into a long gravel section that runs right up along our residence, 200 metres, and then it will hit the cul-de-sac or turning circle where it will become asphalt again. We fail to understand how anyone could propose such a construction for an access road that we know is being planned for up to a minimum of 50 vehicles a day. If that is not alarming, we are then told, it would appear, that a water cart will be on site to deal with the dust issue. However, it will only be available during the construction phase. I put it to council. Do you honestly believe that is a fair and reasonable suggestion? Would you like this happening on your front doorstep? Or more to the point, would the applicant consent to this be happening on hers? We still have concerns in regard to the contention by the applicant that there will only be a stage 1 servicing up to 50 patrons, yet we are left with a very open-ended promise that there will be no further development in the foreseeable future. However, stage 2 and 3 are still pending. My partner and I and nearby concerned residents thank council and the staff for the opportunity to highlight our serious concerns about this proposal, and there are more, but I am conscious of the time. And further take this opportunity to let everyone know that we are not in any way against progress or development or tourism or anything to that nature in our part of the world. However, progress should serve everyone and not just a few. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Catherine. Mr. Jason Greenlow.
Thank you once again. So, mine's obviously from the question I said before, the same concerns while we're all here. Thanks again. My concern is basically on the vehicles travelling on South West Highway turning into Government Road, Waterloo Road, Chenard Place. Vehicles travelling north in the north direction who wish to turn right onto Government Road will create traffic congestion due to the road being so narrow. There is no slip lane for vehicles to pass. Vehicles must wait for turning right vehicles turning right to merge or move before they commence. North of Government Road, there is a road, Wedderbourne driveway, approximately 1,000 metres up from Government Road. This driveway has been established to accommodate trucks gaining access to their property and the railway, over the railway line. Excuse me. Closer to Government Road, approximately 200 metres up north, in front of the applicant's property, is an area of clear bush, which is about 12 metres wide. The cleared area can be developed to gain access to the applicant's property from the South West Highway. In doing so resolves multiple issues. For example, resolves the increased traffic problem and relieves pressure from the intersection at South West Highway onto Government Road, Waterloo Road, and eliminates the need for Chenard Place to be used as an entry-exit point. Since Chenier Place won't be utilised, there resolves the dust concerns which could continue to be an ongoing problem after the construction and in dry seasons. This also resolves intensive signage requirements which will be unseen to 90% of the public of the drivers that travel on South West Highway due to the location of the entry, which would have been on Chenier Place. It resolves the parking problem, moving the public access away from the neighbouring fence line. The car parking space could then be placed on the west side of the dairy shed. The dairy shed would then become another barrier, including recently planted trees. And visually, it'd be more pleasant for visitors passing by to see the cafe from the South West Highway than the back door at Chenier Place. This provides buffering relief for neighbouring properties. This prevents neighbouring properties from losing their undisturbed paradise. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jason. Michelle Catalano. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, councillors. First of all, I think I need to sort out this road. Okay, B&J Catalano will construct the entire road. Okay, so I'm going to break it down one by one. Okay, removal of topsoil, compaction, sub-base being gravel, then a road base on top of that. Then mellow testers will come in and they will seal the whole road from probably about 200 metres from where you turn into off of Waterloo Road onto Chenna. That whole road will be sealed with probably a 7mm grade metal layer. I hope that's clear. That's the whole road. Okay, so in last week when I said there will be a water cart on site, a water cart will be on site, which you have to have anyway, during construction for dust. So, and then if there's still dust up that if need be, well then the car park can be bitumised as well. So I hope that's really clear. In relation to last week, there was a couple of other questions that come up. One was the trees. All trees on my property are Australian native trees. All the trees used for the screening purposes are classified as small trees, large shrubs. They are Australian natives. They are tube stock from Buoyant Botanicals, and they are acacias, clistamens, textandras, and I planted those last year. So they are down the boundary fence and doing really well. Further on to into my paddock is a swamp area where they are banksias, she oaks, so large trees, so small shrubs for the small birds on my property, and then larger trees for the big cockatoos. Also, there was another question regarding the ACROD and access for wheelchairs. One of my meetings with the Shire was that we want to work with people, the wheelchair people in our community, and it was suggested by one of the Shire members that they come out and we can help work out counter heights, table heights, and being able to move from one area to another. So I am very keen, and Sienna's keen, to be able to work with people in a wheelchair to be able to come out to our property to make sure that they have full wheelchair access. So, and in relation to the last gentleman, I don't think ARC will be very happy about installing another railway line crossing. I don't think that will be happening. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, item 9, announcement by a presiding member or CEO without discussion. I would just like to congratulate Harvey Main Street and the Harvey community on a successful Harvey Festival on the 19th, so well done to the community there. It was a fantastic day. And also to Kelvin Rogers and his director Jason. Kelvin won gold in the mixed pairs and silver in the singles at the International Blind Bowlers Association in Tweed Heads. So A great result which helped Australia secure the overall team championship as the most outstanding country at the event. So well done to those. Item 10, confirmation of minutes. The annual general meeting of electors held on Tuesday 28th of February 2023. A recommendation that the minutes of the annual general electors meeting held on Tuesday 28th of February 2023 as printed be confirmed as a true and correct record. Move Councillor Lovett. Second, Councillor Dickinson. I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried. We have the ordinary council meeting held on Tuesday 28th of February 2023. We have the recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on 28th of Feb 2023 as printed be confirmed as a true and correct record. Move Councillor Dickinson. Second, Councillor Campbell. Put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried. Item 11, receipt of minutes and recommendations from committees. The Audit Committee meeting held Tuesday 21st of March 2023. We have a recommendation that the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on Tuesday 21st of March 2023 as printed be received and the recommendations contained therein be adopted by Council. Move Councillor Beach, second Councillor Bromham. Is there any discussion, councillors? Councillor Coleman.
Just one, thank you, Mr. President. On page 20 of the attachment, CBP 4.5.1.2 states that stage 1, option 1, will commence. It's the Shire building, the library, then the community area. My understanding, if I could see clarification, was stage 1, option 2, and it was the Shire offices to be started first in the community precinct. Can we just get that clarified, please?
Councillor Coleman, I'll need to take that on notice in regards to any amendments that are required, and we'll need to review that and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions, councillor? I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried. 13-0, absolute majority. Item 12, officers' reports. Recommendations contained in the officers' reports were adopted by exception resolution with the exception of the following. The exception resolution motion that with the exception of 12.1.1, 12.1.2, 12.3.1, 12.3.3, 12.5.1 and 12.5.2, which are to be considered separately. The officer recommendation for items 12.2.1, 12.3.2, 12.3.3, 12.3.4, 12.3.5, 12.3.6, 12.4.1 and 12.4.2 be adopted as the council resolution. Move Councillor Dickinson, second Councillor Caboni. Any discussion, councillors? Put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried. Okay, item 12.1.1, Lease Jeep Owners Club of Western Australia Incorporated. Councillor Beach.
I'd like to table an alternative motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Have a seconder.
Come up here.
For the purposes of debate, I'll second it, Brian.
Thank you.
Right, so it's ticking. Yep.
Okay, so we've just made that correction on the screen with regards to item 12.3.3. So as read, that with the exception of that, which are to be considered separately, so just make everyone aware of that. It was correct as read, but not on the screen. Okay. Councillor Beach and second Councillor Drummond for the alternative motion. We'll wait for it to come up on the screen, Councillor Beach. Councillor Bromley, second. Councillor Beach.
Thank you. My motion is opposed to the officer's recommendation in as much as that I'd like to see the council enter into a one-year lease for the premises that they have been occupying, subject to the conditions that are on the screen. In speaking to that alternative motion, I say at the outset I'm disappointed with the Jeep Club that's contravened the lease for the property. A lot of work went into guiding them to acquire that lease back in 2011. They may have contravened it unwittingly, but nonetheless breaches have occurred and they should have known about it. So notwithstanding that, I would like to give them an opportunity to prove themselves to be good tenants. My fear is that the danger is that they could, if they're excluded from that parcel of the land, where will they go? And I might suggest that they could perhaps go rogue and drive into areas on the Scarp that is probably best left alone, particularly in the dieback areas. Councils are often asked, where can we ride our motorbikes, our four-wheel drives, etc., and we don't have anywhere. They just ride wherever they think they can get away with it. I live opposite a reserve and quite often motorbikes are tearing around in there. So from past experience, there are many four-wheel drives parked in Harvey on a Sunday afternoon covered in mud from what after appears to be an exhausting weekend of four-wheel driving. They frequent the Vibe service station in particular and the supermarkets in the town, so therefore there's an obvious economic benefit for having this group frequent the areas. We're all about attracting people to the towns within the Shire, and just recently we've offered free camping caravans and motorhomes for that very reason, so they'll have spends in the local community. However, I am quite happy to say after 12 months trial, or even earlier, that there are no improvements that can be demonstrated they should be told to leave, and item 3 of the resolution specifically identifies that by advising the club, should there be any breaches of the new lease conditions, the lease may be terminated immediately. We don't have to wait for the 12 months. Thank you.
Councillor Bromley.
I have a question. I just wanted to ascertain how often the club actually uses the facility.
Through the chair, we wrote to the Jeep Owners Club to ascertain that information, but it was relatively unclear. We were able to get information off of their website that suggested that they had 2 big events a year, and that perhaps they come down to use from Perth the facility 12 times.
Thanks, President. I think from an economic point of view, had some merit then to allow the club to for a 1-year lease. But that's about the only reason that I have to support it.
Is there another speaker for? Councillor Coleman.
Thanks, Mr. President. I concur with Councillor Beech's comments about benefits to the town and knowing where they are. A 1-year lease will give us the opportunity to monitor them after that 1 year, and then if we do agree to proceed with further leases, we could build in a more regular inspection that would keep the property and the club well informed and our property in good condition. So I'd like to see them given another chance, given a number of conditions that were perhaps beyond their control or misunderstood during the course of the last lease or two.
Any speaker against? Councillor Campbell. Question, Councillor Dickinson.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair. If we grant a 1-year lease to the Jeep Club, we're actually not solving the problem of where four-wheel drive people are going. If we did not renew that lease with them, what is possibly going to happen with this site?
Through the chair, that was addressed in the report. It's likely that the site will form part of the later area of the commonage, which makes up around 1,000 acres of land in the hills. In relation to four-wheel drive users using other parts of the Shire, on a quick inspection of the Jeep website, it was quite apparent that whilst the Jeep Club was a base, that four-wheel drive club did four-wheel drive extensively in other areas of the Shire also. So.
Councillor Campbell.
Thanks, Mr. President, and I do acknowledge what Councillor Beech is trying to do here and support the Jeep Club, but I'm very conscious of the fact that they have breached their lease, and it's not just minor breaches, and they've been provided the opportunity to address these breaches and they still have failed to do so. The officer's report indicates that their access to this area can be managed through event packages, and I believe that's the way we should be looking at managing the future use of this site. And I also would like to see, when this site is reinstated, that there may be opportunities for other four-wheel drive groups and motorcycle groups and the like to access this area of the commonage through event packages as well. So I acknowledge that it would be great to give them a 1-year lease, but however I think that under the circumstances and the size of the breaches and the number of breaches, we're just delaying the outcome, and I would prefer to see it being managed through event packages and the area made available to other like organisations. So I won't be supporting this amendment.
I'll speak for Councillor Capriato.
Thanks, Mr. President. I just want to concur with the other councillors. I think that this facility is quite unique. I don't know many other shires that have a facility that can accommodate off-road vehicles that come and do training, hold events, have open days, etc. And we all know that off-road vehicles are becoming more and more common, and it's something that's we all got in our shires, and on occasion they do go rogue and drive around locations that are damaging flora and fauna. But this location is designed from the beginning. It used to be a speedway many years ago. So we've got a good facility. We've got a club who want to use the facility and have been, you know, they haven't been the good boys. They've made a few errors, But I think this is an opportunity to turn that around. And I agree with Councillor Campbell that, you know, maybe other groups can utilise this facility, but to have it by doing it by event packages only, and I'm sure that staff will back me up on this, there's quite a substantial amount of documentation and insurances and things that are going to be done before you can hold an event. So I don't think that if we went down that road that it will get used again, because it's too difficult. But when it's owned by one club and they have got the overarching responsibility to the location, they can invite other clubs along if they please. What we need to do is to make sure that they adhere to the requirements and to the items on the amendment. So I support this amendment because I can see benefit to the Shire of Harvey.
Any other speaker against? Councillor Lovatt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In response to what's been said this afternoon supporting this amendment, the Jeep Owners Club, from the research that I've done through the week, use it for 2 events a year, which is not a significant amount. They get larger numbers at their Mundaring events than they do here because it's closer to Perth. I feel that by extending a lease that has already been contravened, we're rewarding bad behaviour, and I don't think that's what we should be doing. I think that we should be allowing other groups to use it and not allow a particular club that has not respected the lease agreement and the restrictions and controls put in place over a number of years. I think we're sending out the wrong message to the community on how we value our own facilities, and I can't support the amendment.
Councillor Lovatt, question. Councillor Coleman, question.
Thanks, Mr. President. Just a question on events. Now, you know, four-wheel driving is recognised as a dangerous sport. People sign disclaimers all the time. So, if council decides to go down the event package, I seek advice from senior staff. Surely they would have to inspect the property each and every time before a lease was granted, and they would have to inspect the property each and every time after the lease or after the event was finished to make sure that our due diligence and our insurance and our obligations are met, putting further strain on the staff. But I seek the staff's input.
Through Mr. Chair. Yes, Councillor. So yes, prior to an event we would ensure that the facility is firstly up to scratch to be rented out, and any activity that's undertaken we would ensure that they would repair whatever damage was done on an event by event basis, yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Bronwyn.
Yeah, question for staff. Some of the things that the club have said to have done wrong is one, put in the kitchen, shower toilets. My question is, wouldn't such a facility normally have these things in there? And if they wanted to put those things in, could they do that effectively with house support?
Through Mr. Chair, those facilities were not there when they entered into the lease. Have the ability and the right to do so, but you need to actually go through the correct approval process for them to be in place. The structures that are there, we have no idea. The workmanship, no idea. What the potable water supply is, the effluent disposal system. So always happy to work with community groups to ensure that the level of the standards are met. In this particular case, they chose not to engage with us. But if they wish to come back to us at a later stage, happy to work with getting the appropriate approvals.
Councillor Bronwyn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wondered if Councillor Beach would be amenable to maybe adding something to the recommendation to allow the club to communicate with staff on those items.
Yes, but I think negotiating the lease in the first place, because they haven't got one now, would take care of all of that.
Okay. Is there any other speaker for? Speaker against? Okay. I'll put the alternative motion. Councillor Beach. Oh, sorry, you're right. Reply, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
My apologies.
Yeah, the councillors who've mentioned that they've been on the websites and know that there are 2 big events a year, they're exactly right, there are 2 big events a year. But for those that don't live in Harvey and see what I see, and other councillors that live in Harvey, the number of 4-wheel drives that congregate in the township on a weekend after an ad hoc use of that particular area are quite frequent. The current lease, or the lease that they had, said that they were using the premises to conduct education and progressive driving skills in the areas of 4-wheel drive vehicles, and they also had permission to camp there 12 times a year for no longer than 3 days, so that's probably once a month. So apart from the 2 big events, there is ad hoc use, so it is a live site, as it were. I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, staff, that they have reinstated the outside of the lease area where they've gone, where they shouldn't have gone, and we acknowledge that. And as regards the structures that they built, yeah, sure, shouldn't have done that, but there's many a person in this shire that's built stuff in their own backyard and then sought retrospective approval, so it's not unknown for people to do something that they thought they could do, and the club has actually said because their structures were on skids, they didn't think it was a permanent building and didn't require a licence. We can argue that. Look, I'm all about giving everybody a second chance. Because you've done wrong once doesn't mean to say you're off to jail. You know, we'll give these guys a probationary period of 12 months and see how they go. And if they contravene, well then perhaps it's time to bring down the stick. But I think a club like this needs somewhere to go. If we lock them out of the commonage, where are they going to go? And that's anybody's guess. I would ask you to support the recommendation.
Okay, we'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? 6. 6 against, so the motion is carried. 7-6. Councillor, your reason?
But they deserve a second chance. The area is appropriate for a 4-wheel drive club to practice their skills.
Okay, item 12.1.2, local government ordinary elections 2023. We have an officer recommendation, page 10. Councillor Bromham, moving. Councillor Coleman, second. Any discussion, councillors? I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried 13-0, absolute majority. Item 12.3, development application, large format retail. Councillor Crispin, we'll wait for you to leave the chambers. Officer recommendation on page 12, Councillor Bromham, moving. Seconder, Councillor Capagrego. Any discussion, councillors? Put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? The motion is carried 12-0. Thank you, Pauline. bit like Elvis. I think he's left the building.
No place. Send an APB out.
Welcome back, Councillor Crispin. Moved Councillor Bromman, second Councillor Capagrego, and it was carried 12-0. Okay, item number 12.3.3, use not listed, lot 101, number 124, Government Road, Rowlands. Officer recommendation. Mover. Moved Councillor Capagrego. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Bromman. Okay, is there any discussion, Councillor? Councillor Campbell.
Thanks, Mr. President. I'd like to make an amendment to one of the conditions, which would be N, I'm thinking. I'll take staff's advice on this.
I believe it may be a question to staff as to whether that's appropriate, Councillor. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to answer that question is, and I'll preface the answer, is that the condition as worded reflected an agreed position based on what we could reasonably ask and for the scale of the development. And I have cautioned you guys previously as to putting in unreasonable conditions. However, you can ignore that advice.
Mine is the however.
Yes, you can ignore that advice and take the applicant's offer to extend the road as per the condition into account in this case. If you were to do that, as suggested in the wording, may read something along the lines that prior to occupation of the development, satisfactory arrangements shall be made with the Shire for the upgrade of the entirety of Chenna Place at the applicant's expense from the proposed crossover with Waterloo Road through to the proposed cul-de-sac to an asphalt standard. So that was a modification of condition N, and then from engineering drawings shall be submitted, everything remains the same. So I'm happy to sit with Renee and change that word.
So we have a second to the amendment. Councillor Dickinson.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Is it possible to just announce that what was happened, that there's a motion being amended? Because I've had a message from somebody saying that they thought there was no sound and they were concerned that we'd dropped out.
No, it's riveting viewing. Yeah.
I know. So you can...
I'd sing a song, council will love it, but it'd probably sound like a couple of cats fighting. But yeah.
So much to
But
say.
feel free to take the stand.
All yours.
That just allows Mr. Marshall to top up his wine glass. Yes. Councillor Campbell, Councillor Diggins. The amendment.
Yeah.
Make sure you're all the way.
Run out of time. Time's up.
The buzzer's gone.
Morning.
Is this all for 2 words? Yeah, 4 words.
Lucky it wasn't 6.
7.
I went to that winery on his own. That's all.
Big bill.
Oh, here you go.
Councillor Campbell.
Speak to that amendment.
Are you happy with the wording of your amendment?
I'm just checking the engineering advice where it says upgrade of the entirety. Upgrade is interpreted as sealed.
Through you, Mr Chair, I believe your amended motion actually answers that in the third line that says to an asphalt standard.
Oh, sorry. Good, thank you. Happy with that. Happy with that, thank you.
Okay. Do you wish to?
I will speak to it. I will speak to it. And you may recall, councillors, that last week I did ask the question about dust management and whether we could include that as a condition. And I was pondering on it during the week and then received notification from the applicant that they were happy to seal the Chenar place in its entirety. And I acknowledge that staff's advice is that that may be considered as a condition that we can't ask, but I believe that the fact that the applicant has indicated that they're prepared to do that, and it alleviates some of the concern from residents and certainly myself and on the dust issue. That's why I've added this, or asked for this amendment to be put in place.
Councillor Dickinson. Is there any other speakers? Would there like to be a speaker for? Against? Happy with that? Councillor Campbell, just to, okay. I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? Motion is carried. Now becomes the substantive. Okay, so that was moved Councillor Capagrego, second Councillor Brown. Councillor Capagrego, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, I'm not speaking.
Councillor Brown? Are there likely to be any speakers against? Okay. I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? Motion is carried 12-1. Okay, item 12.5.1. Okay, item 12.5.1, Grant Funding Program Youth Services Review. We have an officer recommendation. Move Councillor Campbell. Seconder, Councillor Cabani. There's likely to be any discussion, councillors. Okay, I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? Motion is carried. Item 12.5.2, Community Sport and Recreation Facilities, February 2023-2024 Small Grants Round. We have an officer recommendation. Move Councillor Beach. Second Councillor Dickinson. Is there likely to be any discussion, councillors? I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? Motion is carried. 13-0. Item 13, elected members' motions of which previous notice has been given is nil. Item 14, notice of motion for the following meeting, nil. Item 15, questions by members of which due notice has been given is nil. Reports of members to be sent by the LG Hub. And those that are up to date on the screen. Item 17, new business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of the meeting is nil. Item 18, matters behind closed doors. I have a motion that we move behind closed doors. Councillor Burgoyne, second Councillor Capagrego. I'll put the motion. Is anyone against the motion? Motion is carried. Okay, item 19, closure of meeting. There being no further business to discuss, I'll declare the meeting closed at 5:51 and councillors and staff for their attendance and